we're here. Episode 1 of Bookie Brooke and the Boys. Outstanding stuff. Another addition to the Cornhusker Connection Network. Lots of good stuff going on here. Putting out content daily on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you enjoy sports content. You'll see our ugly mugs, that's for sure. Bookie Brooke, I'm excited for this show. Get to dive into the sports betting side of it. As I mentioned before, you were pretty much my first bookie ever. So, I mean, this is we're really coming full circle here. Then Tyler, and I know you're a little bit more green as far as experience goes here. So I'm excited for you to catch the itch that has really plagued me and Brooke financially. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll be here to learn a lot. Talk a lot of stupid shit. Yeah, I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to lose a lot of money and never do this again. So let's do it.
Absolutely.
Week 0 definitely got the best of me, as Tyler can attest to. I definitely let his stupid face get in my head a little bit as far as what I liked. I was on Jacksonville State right away, right when I saw it. And we are big UTEP fans, and I stayed off of it.
Miners.
Man, did they have a bad offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they so bad. So bad.
Woof. Then you also had a Navy, didn't you? You picked them in once that game started?
Yeah, I think Navy definitely overhyped themselves with this new passing attack. Their first pass of the game got broken up by their own tight end on 4th and 4, and I knew we were in trouble right then. And obviously, betting against Sam Hartman was not
God, how good did he look?
Man, it was – I don't know. He got hit maybe once the entire game, so –
and I'll tell you what, there's something about Sam Hartman where he just looks like a gritty Irish quarterback. I don't even know if he's Irish, but he's got the dark black hair. He's got the thick black beard, very well manicured. But it looks like that he leaves the game in like a red pickup truck with a Budweiser and the cup holder, just ready to go home and yell at his wife or something.
Well, if you watched QB1, he is from the South, so he's
really
far off.
Oh man, I gotta check that out. Because and of course I've seen him pop up on like the ticker for his time at Wake Forest, but yeah, getting to see him, he just looks so good.
I think
that's a huge ad.
He's gonna take Notre Dame to the next level offensively. So watch out, Ohio State week 3 or 4, whenever it is.
Absolutely, I think that'll be such a fun game in South Bend. That's tough for anybody here, but. Lots of good stuff. The future's bright. We got Colorado week 1 coming up here. Colorado TCU playing. We got Nebraska, Minnesota, of course. We got Florida State, LSU. Outstanding stuff. But we're here to win some money. So first thing I kind of want to talk about, and we've gone over this a little bit before, but I really wanted to circle back to it. As far as futures go, what's going to be the best value going into the season? First, we'll get started with Heisman race. We'll get all these odds from FanDuel Sportsbook, just because I think it's the best interface. They haven't given us any money yet. Sure would be great if they did. But as we kind of scroll through here, Caleb Williams at the front runner here, and then a long list of quarterbacks who could very well win it, including Sam Hartman. I think he just jumped in there at plus 1,600. First non-quarterback comes in Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know who Kyle McCord is or Carson Beck.
That's McCord is one of the Ohio State quarterbacks, and Carson Beck's the Georgia quarterback.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Well, perfect. So if you were putting any money on these, where's the value at? Is there value going with a heavy favorite like Jaden Daniels or Jordan Travis, or do you see some potential for a guy like Dylan Gabriel or Spencer Rattler? I know Tyler's really high on. Where are you going here if you have to?
It really, when you're making these bets, you got to think about what their team's going to do, because Heisman winners typically are in the CFP or right around there. So my pick is Jordan Travis from FSU. He barely turned the ball over last year, and he uses his feet well. I think it's only up from. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I think it's only up from here. It really just depends who you think's going to be there at the end of the year, probably in the CFP.
I think so too, and I think that's what's going to disqualify Caleb Williams. That, in addition, for him to win a second Heisman Trophy, he'd have to have a better statistical year than he did last year, which is very well possible. He had a crazy season last year. There's no reason to think that he can't live up to that. But then you also got to think he's got to lead his team to probably an 11-1 and 12-0 record, which I just don't see happening. I do. If Florida State really is as good as you think it is, it feels silly to not have Jordan Travis in New York. My big sleeper would be a little bit further down the list. I wouldn't put any big money on this, but by any means. But I really like Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 3,000. I think he's got a couple of things going for him. I think Ohio State's going to be really good. So I think that they're going to be right in the thick of it, at least going into the Michigan game undefeated, most likely. And then I think with the new quarterback, any success that they have, I think is also going to be largely contributed to him having a fantastic wide receiver. Like I think back of when Devontae Smith went into Alabama, that was Bryce Young's freshman year. It's like, oh, well, we don't know anything about Bryce Young yet, but we know that Devontae Smith caught 1 million touchdowns and racked up 1 trillion yards. So then I think that gives him a path as well. And then that it also kind of feeds into if you're a new quarterback and you have a generational talent like Marvin Harrison Jr., even if you're not feeling comfortable in any way, just get the ball in his area and he'll figure it out from there. So I think that could add to some stat padding there for sure. But I think that's great value. I think if there's going to be anybody who is not a quarterback to win this Heisman, probably between him or Blake Corum.
Yeah, absolutely. My two picks near the top, obviously Jordan Travis that we touched on. I really like Sam Hartman too there. And if I had to go with a sleeper one, give me Joe Milton over at Tennessee.
I like that.
He's definitely talented enough to
Bazooka Joe.
He's had the arm talent. He got to sit under Hooker last year and kind of watch and study the offense. So he's really due to pop off and have a good year.
I think so. Tyler, are there any of these that you're licking your chops at?
Well, what Brooke said made me think about it a little bit more because he is right in a sense. Like you can't be on a bad team and win a Heisman. I think that makes it a whole lot harder. But I love Drake May. I love the way that he throws the ball. And I also like Cade Klubnik. I mean, I know that this is going to be like his first full year starting, but I think that team is going to be really good in the Clemson Tigers. So I would throw him up there as one of my top picks. Him and Drake May.
And that's not a bad pick at all, just because they're bringing in Garrett Riley as their new OC, and he kind of spreads it out a little bit more. So there's definitely value on Klubnik too.
I think so too, and I think they're gonna be really good. It's gonna go against every bit of propaganda that Brooke's pushing here, but I think they do win the ACC, and I think they're much likely to be in the college football playoff. But not our topic of conversation. Well, I guess that does lead us to who's gonna win the national championship here. Georgia, obviously, the biggest favorite at plus 220. And they probably are the best team. I can see why they're such big favorites. It is just crazy to me to think that any team's capable of winning 3 straight national championships. Seems like if there's any team built for it and has the pathway to get there pretty seamlessly, it is Georgia. But with futures, you kind of like to add some value there. Is that 2-1 money? It's not very good value. Like I always would. My introduction to futures was like when we'd stop in a state that has a casino or a sports book like Vegas, and I was able to place a bet there. Well, I'm not going to put a 1-to-1 bet there if I'm never going to cash it. So I wanted something that could pay for a plane ticket. So maybe that's a little bit skewed there. But Bookie Brooke, where are you looking for as far as national championship odds go?
Yeah, you're definitely right. You don't want to place a bet on Georgia unless you're throwing around some big bucks, just because it wouldn't be worth to hold on to that ticket for 3-4 months. if you truly think they're going to win it all. You know, obviously you guys know my love for Florida State this year. I think Notre Dame has great value. Tennessee maybe down there. It's really a crapshoot after those first 4 teams, right? So if you're looking, those teams probably 5 to 13 if you feel confident one way or another about them, are your best bets if you're looking to throw down the future.
Absolutely. I think if I'm looking at this list here, a couple of names jump off. Whoever you like in the Big Ten, that's going to be a fairly good payout if you think they can make it. So even Michigan at 850. I also didn't realize that Ohio State was favored over Michigan. That feels a bit silly to me, but it is what it is. I think Alabama's crazy high on there. Plus 600 feels crazy to me, replacing a quarterback. And also the thing about Alabama that I just kind of realized this morning, it's not that they were just having a new quarterback. They brought in another quarterback after spring. So they saw all the quarterbacks they have in the spring, and I thought, we need to add somebody else, which that's troublesome to me.
So their OC is Tommy Reese, who was at Notre Dame last year, and Tyler Buckner followed him to Alabama. So everybody kind of thought he was going to be the favorite to win that job. I haven't been paying super close attention. You would never go wrong taking an Alabama quarterback just because of the weapons and line they have around them. But if you're going to take one, to me, it's Milroe, because he has something with his legs that I think he has like 4.3 speed.
It's pretty crazy stuff, that's for sure. But Tyler, if you had to put some money down on a national champion, who would it be?
I would go with my Heisman pick. I would go with Clemson. I mean, plus 1,600 is pretty good odds. I don't think they're too far off. I mean, they're in the ACC where they only have to deal with one other team. If they can, duke it out the way that I think that they can and win that, I think they'll have a good shot at getting into the playoff. And from there, as you saw last year, anything can happen. I mean, TCU going to the national championship, nobody saw that coming. So I think Clemson has a good shot at being that team that wins it.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. If I had to put my rep money on it, I think I lean towards Michigan, just because I feel like they're knocking on the door for a national championship. And in the event that it's them and Georgia, while I think Georgia might be the better team, again, just the likelihood of winning 3 straight national championship games, it feels like the football gods would intervene and be like, all right, we got to settle this down a little bit here.
And it feels like if anybody is going to challenge Georgia, Michigan has the guys in the trenches to go toe-to-toe with them.
Absolutely. If I was just putting some funny money on it, I'd probably look more at a team like Clemson plus 1,600. Those odds are good. Florida State even at 2,500, because I think whoever's gonna win that game early on in Death Valley, I think they're gonna have as easy of a path to anybody to make the college football playoff from there. So that's probably the next one up. I don't really like any of these teams down the list here. So yeah, I would put it either Michigan or Clemson or Florida State.
Yeah.
And as far as conference winners go, there's a couple ones that I thought were a bit strange. First of all, the Big 12 conference, it seems like Texas is a heavy favorite. And then even Oklahoma, who had a horrible year last year compared to their standards, they're right next to there. But there's such a big gap between Texas and the field in the Big 12. Do you think that's a trap, or do you think that there's real value there?
For which one?
For Texas.
I think it's kind of a trap. Everybody's saying Texas is going to be good, and I personally don't believe in them. So I think any of those teams on that list are a good bet. For me personally, the two that jump out the most are Texas Tech and TCU. TCU, people forget, their head coach chose to start Chandler Morris over Max Duggan week 1 just last year. So he, in his mind, thought Morris was the better quarterback. Now you get him healthy this year, and at those odds in a conference that isn't super strong, that's a crazy number.
I think so too. And I heard someone from 24/7 Sports talk about this team, and then he posted like a size chart of just how big their offensive and defensive linemen are. They're going to be pretty well strapped up front. They lose a lot of speed in like Quentin Johnston and Keandre Miller, who are obviously fantastic. They're going to be playing on Sundays going forward. And then losing Mad Max Duggan's tough. But yeah, like you said, he was QB2 going into that year.
Exactly.
So I think that they're very, very much in the fold here. Texas Tech, I love Texas Tech. I think that there's real potential there. And then, of course, you got the defending champs in Kansas State. I think even that's good value. And yeah, Texas winning the conference preseason like this, I don't think there's much value there at all. Maybe after the Alabama game, if they choose those odds a little bit more, but plus 100 seems like a crazy future bet.
Yeah, it makes sense because on paper Texas should be the team to beat in that conference, and if they take care of business, this is a no sweat winner for the sports books in Texas. But they say this, just about every year Texas is back, and I'm not a huge fan of Ewers, and I'm not putting my money on him.
He didn't throw for more than 200 yards the last 4 Big 12 games. And I've been fed this propaganda that the Big 12 doesn't play any defense. So which is it? Are the defenses good and Quinn Ewers just not able to keep up, or is Quinn Ewers not very good?
I don't think Quinn Ewers is that good. There was a game last year where, I was casually watching and I was looking at his stat line, and he was 18 for 48 and their team was still in it. So I think it speaks to the talent they have around him, but I think he's been living off of that 5-star reputation a little bit too long, and it's time for him to, do something impressive.
Now, Tyler, is there a conference in particular that you're excited about? So Texas has better odds to win the Big 12 than either Ohio State or Michigan. That feels crazy, but any conference that's jumping out to you, Tyler?
Yeah, I actually do love the Big Ten because I feel very confident in Penn State being able to win the Big Ten. And they're only plus 600.
Plus 600. It's a good payout,
which is still pretty good odds, but I think that they're going to go out and show people that they're able to play at that level that Ohio State and Michigan are playing at. So I feel confident in picking Penn State to win the Big Ten.
The thing about Penn State that I'm bullish on is that it wouldn't surprise me if they did beat Michigan or Ohio State. But I think it was Joel Cloud who broke down like the tiebreakers. So first of all, it goes who has the best winning percentage in the conference. And then if they all three beat each other, like Penn State beats Michigan, Michigan beats Ohio State beats Penn State, that's obviously a wash. And then it goes to record against teams from the Big Ten West. And I think how we had it shape up was that Ohio State and Michigan are in significantly better positions to win that tiebreaker than Penn State. So that would be my big quorum with them. I definitely think they're good enough to. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were able to get Ohio State or Michigan. But they probably would have to get both of them or have them slip up along the way as well.
I'm also not mad about the Wisconsin pick either. I don't know if I bet on it, but I'm not mad about the thought of Wisconsin coming out of the Big Ten.
They're definitely going to shock some people with their offense this year. I don't know how. Yeah, they're going to put up points in a hurry with Longo, the old North Carolina offensive coordinator, coming over. If their defense can hold up and do their part, I think they're just as good as bet as anybody to win that conference.
And then the ACC, we're wrapping up futures talk. Clemson and Florida State pretty much neck and neck. Clemson with a slight edge. I'm assuming that plus 20 is just because they're at home against Florida State.
Yes.
Either way, I think those are your two clear favorites. If I were going to pick any team outside of those two, I'm going North Carolina. Plus 1,100 feels like really good odds for a team with potentially the best quarterback in the conference. one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and Mac Brown's no slouch either. So that's probably my long shot pick there.
Mine's got to be Louisville because Jeff Brom steps into a situation where the cupboard is not bare there, and they've got some talent. If there were a lot of stuff would have to go Louisville's way, obviously, where Clemson and Florida State might have to fall off a cliff or something. But if you gun to my head and made me pick a third, dog in that race, I'd go Louisville.
Sweet. Well, you know what? I think it's time to put our money where our mouths are. So we'll be doing this every week. We'll also have some guests on, get their thoughts as well. But we'll fill out our first wager board here. First one, I dedicated $100 wager on a future. So which one of these futures we just talked about, where you feel the biggest on? To me, I feel the best about Marvin Harrison Jr. winning the Heisman. I think that there's so many different quarterbacks that could separate themselves. It feels so hard to pick one. So I think I'm going to just go with who I think is going to be the best player. So give me Marvin Harrison Jr. plus 3,000 for my $100 future.
For mine, I'm going to give me Jordan Travis for Heisman. What was it? Plus 20.
Jordan Travis was plus 1,200.
Yeah, give me that.
Perfect. Tyler?
I'm going to go with Cade Klubnik.
Cade Klubnik. All right. So that's going to get you plus 1,400 odds. It's a bold move. And then as far as week one goes, so like I said, we'll do this part every week where we talk about who we would put our money on. And so to start off, we'll start off light and then go towards our more profitable bets here. So $100 bet here for me. I'm typically going to bet against blowouts early. I think that there's a lot of inflated numbers here. And with the new faster play with the clock not stopping on first downs, I think that's going to handicap teams to really turn up the gas in some of these games. So I'm going to bet on Colorado to cover 20.5 points against TCU.
So for my first pick Thursday night, I'm not super confident in this, but I think it'll be close with, obviously we talked about it, Cam Rising being out. Give me Florida plus 7. I think they keep it within a touchdown.
Interesting pick.
So again, I'm new to this, so I didn't get the actual odds or what the spread was. But for my first pick is Utah State to cover.
Utah State to cover.
I think they're plus 25.
Oh, actually, I think I have the game on my list too.
And again, I did these
Are they playing Nevada
again? But I did this on Thursday, so I'm not sure if what's changed.
It's either
as of
24
Thursday.
or 25.
Yeah, this is what I have written down.
Also, Brandon, you put Florida State.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah, Florida.
Wait, what? Oh, you picked Florida. Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoops. And then just had that Florida. I really don't think Florida's going to win more than 5 games this year.
Neither do I, but year 2 under Napier, this should be a game that they're getting up for.
All right, so week 1, our $100 bets are in. Betting on the dogs here, and I feel like that's a good place to be, especially Utah State against Iowa. I don't think Iowa might not score 25 points, and that's not even that big of a knock on them. I think 25 points would be a step up there. My second pick here, I know I said I wasn't going to pick blowouts going forward, or at least getting started here, but I think Michigan plus 35 or minus 35.5 feels pretty right. I think that they're going to come out rolling. I think they're going to kind of flex out their muscles a little bit here.
My second one, Friday night, and this might be a little bit of an overreaction to week 0, but Give me Hawaii money line at home against Stanford.
I had that same thought too.
I think Timmy Chang has got those guys playing a lot harder, and I thought personally Vanderbilt's roster would just be too much for them, and they hung around on the road, only lost by 7. So I think you get a depleted Stanford team who's trying to overhaul a new offense. I think Hawaii, and they're playing for Maui. You get that factor in there.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I had that same thought, especially at plus 138. I was like, that's not a bad payout, and it's so much easier than well, how many points do they need to score to cover? It's like, do they win? Yes. All right, cut me my check. That's
Yes.
Tyler. What are you feeling here?
I have Purdue to cover 3.5 over Fresno State.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
It's kind of a tight
That's a
line to walk, but I think Purdue is going to be a lot better than some people think in terms of like playing against Fresno State. So I think they cover 3.5 pretty easily.
All right, $300 bet. Now we're gonna get to see some serious change here. For me, again, it's just betting against blowouts here, just picking spreads that just seem very silly. Next one, I'm going to pick Nevada plus 38.5. Who do they play? I think they play USC. And especially after seeing USC's defense against San Jose State, 38.5 seems like a huge mountain to cover.
Yeah, if their offense wasn't so good, they might mess around and lose that game.
I don't know much about Nevada's offense, but if they can move the ball, I think the over cruised in the San Jose State USC game week 0, that might not be a bad play either.
Mm-hmm.
Because USC is going to put up points. It's just a matter of. So my $300 pick. All right, I'm trying to figure out which ones I'm most confident in. Give me.
I don't want to do that.
Tulane minus 6.5.
Tulane. I do love Tulane. I
think South Alabama's a good team. I think Tulane is just on a different level, and I think they're going to be the best group of 5 team pretty easily this year. And the fact that they're at home, week 1, they're ranked. Unless I'm totally missing something about South Alabama, I don't see how they don't win by double digits.
It's a fair bet for sure. A touchdown does seem pretty heavy. If I were to sell you on Tulane not covering, it'd be first game hiccups. Maybe they're up 4 late or so, and they don't push to cover that spread, unfortunately. But overall, not a bad bet there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna take Boise State to cover 14.5 against Washington.
Oh man, how bold? I mean, you could be really bold and pick them to win outright.
I'm gonna take them to cover. I'm not.
Funny how money gets involved, and he's a little less.
Because I do think Washington's going to be a good team, but I do think Boise State is going to show that they're a good team as well. I think 14.5. The one that I have here is 14.5.
I'll give you that.
I think they cover that. I think they cover that pretty easily. Because I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think they lose by double digits. I don't think.
I feel like the storyline for them is much like USC in week 0 is defense optional for Washington. Like they have a very good offense, but can they play defense?
Agreed. And I think this could absolutely be a situation where Washington's up by 14 late, or they're even up by 20, and Boise State gets a touchdown in the last 5 minutes. Washington's just ran out the clock, so they walk backwards into that cover from Boise State. So I do like that one a lot. Up next, $400 pick. Again, just betting against blowouts. Give me New Mexico plus 37.5 against Texas A&M. I do like Texas A&M. I think they're going to be very much improved compared to last year. And I think they win this game very comfortably, but 37.5 is pretty crazy.
Yeah, they didn't play well against non-conference teams last year, so they're working in Bobby Petrino as their new OC. So, like you said, that could go either way. That's certainly not a crazy thing to have happen.
Brooke, where are you heading? $400 bet. We're getting serious here. These are big payouts.
So for my $400 bet, I'm going with Texas Tech minus 14. Actually, you know what? I'm going to buy it down to the 13.5. I think they beat Wyoming by 2 touchdowns, even though they are on the road. They're at Wyoming, so that's going to be a weird one in itself. But Wyoming couldn't really throw the ball last year, and Texas Tech has a pretty stout defense, and they have Tyler Shaw coming back this year, or Show, however you say it. I don't see a world in which Texas Tech doesn't win by 20, but maybe Wyoming's frisky at home week 1.
What were the points that you were going to buy there?
So I saw it at 14, but I'm going to buy it down to 13.5.
Okay, perfect. 13.5, that brings it down to 118. All right, Tyler, $400 bet. Where are you heading?
I have Ohio State to cover 30 points against Indiana.
You're sick, man.
Points.
I just don't think Indiana's – I know it's a lot, but I don't think Indiana's going to be able to hold a candle to Ohio State.
Probably not. And it's a good thing that they have 2 quarterbacks fighting over a job. So even if the backups get in, still a guy who could be a starter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that with both of those guys playing, you really want to stretch out the field and see what they can do, which I think could lead out to some pretty big numbers there. So I typically hate big favorites like that, but that feels like a good one. All right, big one, $500 bets. For me, I mean, I think it also adds more juice to what's supposed to be a very exciting game. But I really just do feel so high about this team to win and to cover the spread. Give me LSU minus 2.5.
I love that. I love that.
A fool in their money soon parted.
God, I can't wait to watch that game.
I can't wait to get back on here Tuesday or Wednesday next week and tell you how wrong you guys were.
I mean, I'll wait for it, but LSU, I
can't
think,
wait to just
the SEC West.
I can't wait to just bust an egg over your face. Just let it run down.
I think Brian Kelly's a better coach than they got.
Let's bet a butt chug on.
I'll bet a butt chug all day.
Bet a what?
A butt chug.
Butt chug.
Oh, well, I'm not chugging anything with my butt.
Dude, come on. Put your money where your butt is, dude. Come on.
Oh man, I mean anything other than a butt chug. What are
come on,
12
dude.
years old?
These are
that's
these
crazy.
are serious wagers, Brandon.
Yeah.
We're a house divided right now.
Well, I guess since Brandon's out, we won't do it.
I'll come up with something.
All right.
Butt chug. I don't even have the facilities for that here.
I don't either. You just get a long neck and just shove it right in your bum.
Yeah. I guess it's not a complicated setup there.
Moving on for my $500 pick, because that was going down a dark path there. My most confident is Penn State minus 20.5 against West Virginia. I don't see how they stay competitive with him. I think they're going to be eager to show off Drew Aller's arm, and their defense is pretty good. And from what I remember about Garrett Green, he did not look very good throwing the ball. He can move a little bit with his legs, and I think Penn State has the athletes to shut him down pretty easily. So I like them a lot.
That's a good bet. I like that one a lot. Tyler, it's the big one.
My butt chug bet of the week is going to be Wisconsin covered 27 against Buffalo.
Wow.
I like.
I think that's going to be
quarterback.
pretty easy. I think that's going to be one of the easiest ones on the board this week.
What were the points you had for it?
I have 27. What do you have?
Gosh, that's 27 is fine. That's so many points.
Roll with the big dogs.
Absolutely. I mean, you're really getting after. You're really getting into the spirit.
I don't wish people losing money, but
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
But just the first time you get backdoored on like a meaningless Buffalo or Indiana touchdown, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
It hurts,
Yeah.
but we all go through it.
The back door is always open.
Brutal stuff, except when we're chugging beers. Then mine is comfortably closed.
It's firmly shut.
Well, perfect. I mean, I like this a lot here. We got some futures. We got some underdogs, some big favorites to cover here. Then we'll keep track on how much money we're winning or losing. Brooke went up to $3,200 just this week. Me right there at $3,150. Tyler there at $3,157. So, Brooke, outside of your bets, which one of our bets do you like the best?
So out of your guys is I would have to go with Wisconsin minus 27 just because I think
Let's go.
I have a hard time believing Buffalo is going to score enough points to stay inside this number, and people are going to be thoroughly shocked by how easily Wisconsin's going to move the ball. So,
not wrong there.
It's already a W in my book.
There you go. Out of me and Brooks' picks, which ones do you like the most?
Everything in my body wants me to pick the LSU minus 2.5. But I won't. I do. I do like the Hawaii money line pick. I think that they're going to be a better team than people are expecting.
And that's a good one. I wanted to throw on a couple of straight up underdogs, but I couldn't find one. But my heart was looking at Hawaii. But then I just remember how bad Vanderbilt is. I think that has way more to do with them than Hawaii.
I had that same thought in my head, but they only lost to Vanderbilt on the road by 7. That's crazy. And I think Stanford is a lot worse than Vanderbilt. So we'll see how that shakes out. But
you're not wrong there. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Let's see. If I'm looking to steal anybody's wager here, I think I like, despite them being such a big favorite, I think I like Penn State minus 20.5. I think you nailed it right on the head. I think they're going to really try to put Drew Alar into some situations where he's going to have to really air it out and not just lean on that great run offense. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to do that. Oh, perfect. Outstanding stuff. We got our boards ready to go. We got week 1 coming up here. I'm surprised none of us had any money on Nebraska or against Nebraska.
It's never great to bet with your heart.
That's right.
Well, then I'm also surprised that nobody decided to put an emotional hedge on it.
Yeah,
some Minnesota in there.
I think if there is a play on the Nebraska-Minnesota game, I think it's the under. I think
that's a good move.
I think
they're
a slobber knocker.
Especially two teams with 2 new quarterbacks. Of course, Nebraska pretty much knew everything, but especially replacing a guy like Tanner Morgan, who's been such a pivotal part of that team. I absolutely think they'll keep it on the ground, and the under is a good one. And I would hate to bet Minnesota minus 7 and then have them win by 4. So you lose the game and you lose the money.
Yeah, that would be a tough one.
So it worked out pretty well with how odd that Nebraska's been favored over the last few years. Like I've gotten them straight up against Iowa as a favorite a couple of times. But otherwise, I feel pretty good about this. I'm pretty juiced. I think we got some good stuff going on here. I mean, by the time next week, we'll be talking NFL as well. So we'll really blow up this board here. Perfect. Anything else you guys would like to add?
I want to put something out there for the few people that are listening right now. Is take these with a grain of salt. Like Tyler said, I had a pretty rough week 0. So if you're looking to make some money, fading me would not be a bad idea.
Well, I mean, it sounds like to me that you're due for a good week.
Well, I've been due the past 6 years then.